Hello again, guys. Just thought I'd have maybe a little bit of a break from doing Shows Your Workshop. I've still lots to do, but I did say I was going to do a bit of a show of when I was going to be doing that speed control on the mill, but I've decided to do a little job before that which I thought was slightly more complicated, and that involves this little chapper here, which has a little USB B, I think, plug in the side of it, and it's a bit entailed because there's actually quite a bit of bracketry to do, and albeit they're only small brackets, they're quite intricate. I'll probably end up doing some TIG welding as well. I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to refabricate a part or whether I'm going to TIG weld an addition to it to hold this part. So without further ado, really, we'll go across to the mill and we'll show you what we're going to do. Well, the little DRO's come, which I know what to call now, thanks to John's workshop. It's called ZQ, obviously for quill. It's going to be ZQ, the 4th axis. As we know, we've got 3 axes, but I ain't got anything on the quill. And I've been trying to work things out. The original brackets look like that, and they fit on the top and the bottom. But you can take those off, and there's other little brackets come with it. So I've put that one like that, so it's at right angles, because under here, I'll bring that down and lock it a little bit. We've got, let's see if we've got it in shot. Yeah. Check this focus. I think it's okay. My hand keeps altering focus. So that plate there, it's made from aluminium, and it's for the depth stop. That's the only thing it actually does on here. I have had it off before, so we're going to build a vacuum unit on here, which I still am one day, if I ever get round to it. So I thought, if I take this plate off, it's only held on with 3 screws into the bottom of the quill, and make another one that's same as, but has got a protrusion off this side that'll take this bracket. So in actual fact that will be about there, and when it's up, it's going to be there, because that, when it's up, will be under the side of that, will be about there, and then fully down it'll be about there. It's 4 inches. That's the bottom held. The problem is that you need really to hold the top too, because the thing's just going to be stuck out at the top. Again, can you see the top? Bring it up a bit. So my next thoughts on this were the bottom fixed to the bottom of the quill, and the top, well, to cut this down I only need 4 inch of travel plus about 1 inch to clear to start with, using this little reader box at the side. So when it's fully down it's probably going to be there, so I don't need all that, so I could cut this off. I'm sure it won't affect it, and then fit one of these back on, or indeed a right angle one probably, back on here, and pick up off the top of this depth stop, probably just a nut. I'm guessing that's 5/16 BSF, I think it'll be BSF, I'm sure, and pick a bracket up, make some sort of, I don't know, a bit of a shoehorn shaped bracket, banana shaped or whatever, try and make it as neat as possible, and that'll support the top, which obviously that goes up and down with the quill, so it just follow it up and down like that does, and it'd be on the side here, which I thought were neat and out of the way. That box there is just a reader, so once that's done and fitted, the back of that I can fit one of these brackets onto there, the screw holes for it, and I can fit it onto where the fine feed screw bracket fits by drilling that out and fitting that there, so that'd hold that. I'd still be able to engage fine feed on and off, that won't affect that. I can't see anything else that would be in the way. Then the other thing I need to do is, this is the readout unit, so that's got to fit somewhere too, and it plugs in with a lead, and it comes with quite a long lead with it, which I don't think I could cut this down unless I try and undo that box and see if it's soldered in there and cut this down so it looks neat. It'd be nice not to have a great length of cable on it. And that, I've got an old bracket on here that I use for the camera, that can come off, and I think that'd probably fit there, so that'd be my readout for this. And I should, if that's there, I can still read my RPM on my machine and my other DRO. So I think that's where we're going, some sort of stepped bracket for that, but first job is to try and get this fit up. I don't know whether I dare undo this and have a look inside, because if it is soldered, I could cut this to length and resolder it. If it's on some sort of a ribbon, then I can't. So that's where we are. I'll come back when I've made some sort of headway. Probably first thing, take this off the bottom and make a fresh one. Whether I need to make it out of steel or that'd be ample, that aluminium, it's going to stick out about to there. I think it should support okay. This hasn't got any restriction and it's up and down really, it's quite smooth in its operation. So that's where we are with that DRO. Also, some people mount these at the front here, and there's a reason why I don't want to and probably shouldn't mount that on the front, is because there's some sort of an adjustment here which must be for the quill. Obviously there's the adjuster wheels for the depth stop, but there's also two little oilers there for the quill and bearings that I do use. It's a bit of a total loss system, and it just rips out underneath eventually after a few days or weeks, but that's something I need to get to. I don't really want it at the front, I've decided, and it could even encroach that handle, so that's out the question. I can't put it to the left hand side because I've got a lock and a few other bits and bats that be in the way, and the handle when I was drilling. So I do think it's got to go to the right hand side. I've made my mind up, it's definitely going there. Just thought I'd show that bit. One depth stop. That's that off. Just the plate to take off now. From memory they were slotted. Yeah. Need to clean that lot up. Just keep showing little bits. There you go. Everything's blathered in oil. At least it won't corrode. Ah, that's steel. Yeah, steel. Thought it were aluminium. See what that is? $5mm. Take the paint off. It's 5mm. I need to find something around 5mm with a steel plate, bore a hole, redo those holes. Oh, they've been done weirdly. Yeah, that one's been a bit out and they've stuck drilling it, opened it up. Which makes me slightly suspicious that that is non-standard. That it's been made by someone. Yeah, I'm sure that's been made by someone. So I don't know about this, what I was talking about before, the quill stopper. I don't know. But, so that's got to stay. So I can either do some TIG welding and weld a piece on here, or I can remake that completely. It would be that way because it goes up underneath with a leg on that will carry the bottom of that DRO. Essentially, like that. Like you'd be bolting that to there, but out here. So I think next job is either decide to weld something to that or to make a fresh one. Quite a bit of work, I suppose, really. Your radius there, radius all the way around there. It's with the rotary table, isn't it? Or clean up and weld. It's not stainless. Not that it matters because we can do stainless as well. A piece of mild steel flat bar would do it. I know exactly where it was. Could TIG that on there, chamfer that out a little bit, TIG it on and rub it back down so you'd never see it. It'd look like it came like that. That's probably the way to do it. That's the bolt that we're in, holding the fine feed mechanism. It's Whitworth quarter. I ain't got any quarter Whitworth, but I've got dies and taps and things, so I put collet chuck in, some quarter stainless threaded rod, and I've run a die round down that. I mean, that's a shanked one, but it doesn't really matter. That's going to have a nut on, and I found some quarter nuts because I'm going to have to make those too. But I found a quarter nut that'll go on there, and a bright washer, and that should hold that bracket on that holds the DRO reader unit. So I'm hopeful of that. At least we're making headway. That one's cutting off there. This is it's a little spacer because the mechanism that does the fine feed is it's got arm screws in, and the counterboard into the body. It's an aluminium housing and the counterboard into it. I'm going to be fixing to the face of it with that threaded piece of quarter I did. So I'm going to replace what the counterbar of that would have been by that. I'm just going to slice it off, and that's going to sit in the hole where the counterbar is to give it support. I don't want it pulling in the piece of plate. The piece of plate's not very thick that holds that DRO reader on. It's only a bit of tin. So I'm just making that to give it some support. So that'll go in the like a plug in the hole, and I've drilled it quarter to take that. Not that one, the threaded one. So that just wants slicing off now. That's another bit done. Well, I'm still waiting for my piece of steel to come to TIG weld onto this, but I have made a little progress. Piece of aluminium plate I've dug out. It's what, 2.5 mil thick, something like that, 3 mil. So that's the reader unit mounted. So the idea, of course, is that's fixed, and it's fixed behind there, not permanently yet, but that's where it's going. And then this is going to attach across to that, so that will go up and down with the quill. And when that steel comes, I've got the bracket on there now. I've put an L bracket on, and then on the top we use another one of those fixings which I've swapped over to an L one, which will go on here. I'll be chopping this down to the length I require, and then I found 2 nuts BSF for there. This piece of plate is going to go there, but obviously this piece of plate is going to need profiling, so it's going to have to be cut and then shaped round and sort of filed to make it look neat. And then I'll paint that, because I've got some of this green paint, so when that's done and the bottom one's done, I'll paint it all the same colour as the machine, so make it look a bit more standard. And the bolt I was on about taking out at the back is one that holds the head on, and it was just that old bracket there, so somehow I've got to fix that to it. But what did come with the kit is a little bracket there, and then that sort of hooks onto the back of there, and then sort of like that. So maybe I'll do that, so that then swap hands over that. It'll be fixed, attach the bottom, and basically it's going to just do that. And the top will just follow it up and down as well with the stop. That's the plan. I'm sure it'll all come together. I'll put that back on now. My garage and my workshop is quite dry. I mean, it's got a painted floor, a bit mucky. It's not soaking wet or anything, but I have noticed I got some parallels out the other day and there were a couple of spots of rust on them. And I got something out of my drawer yesterday, a pair of pliers, and I noticed they were getting a bit rusty, and I thought, yeah, it's starting to get a bit damp in here. Even though it's a watertight, if you like, garage, you still get a condensation and damp, don't you? So I've fired up my dehumidifier and I've got that running. That bottom tray holds about 2 litres of water, but when it's full it knocks off. So I'm going to leave that running for a couple of days and see if I can pull some moisture out of this place. The last thing you want is rust, isn't it? But normally I have that in the main garage in there because I've got an electric roller shutter door on there and it's steel, and on the inside it condenses like mad. So in winter I usually have that thing running. Anyway, that's where we are. I can't show anymore because I ain't done anymore. Unfortunately, this is dragging on a bit because I was short of steel. I thought I had some steel flat bar, but I didn't. And I can't go and stick alloy on it because it's steel I'm welding to. And I don't really want to weld mild and stainless together. I might as well wait. It's bright mild steel bar that I've ordered. So, a couple of days it'll be here. Bit of patience. Yeah, something else I just want to add on to this little bit of a video, and it's got nothing to do with making a DRO. It's this stuff. I got this given off a guy, a gallon of it, and it's Arrow Chemicals, and the stuff's called Shield. Now, I did some time ago look this up to find out what it was. Apparently it's petroleum distillate. That's what it says. And it's apparently for rust proofing stuff. So I've got some in a bottle there. So, you know, like your lathe bed or anything on the milling machine that's made exposed steel, give it a spray with that stuff and it puts like a very fine oily coating on. And it is, apparently that's what it is. It's like some sort of rust proofer. It's not messy, but of course when you've sprayed it with it, it's got an oil film on there. But I just thought, I don't know whether you can still buy this stuff because the health and safety that comes with it, it's telling you it can do all sorts of harmful stuff. Not focusing, is it? But there's quite a thing printed saying it's harmful to aquatic animals and blah blah blah. Yeah, just thought I'd show that. It was a freebie, but coming in useful.